Pleased to welcome back Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Good morning, doing very well. You need to add howdy from Oklahoma to your bonjour from Canada.
You know that we do have to translate it into Oklahoma, folks, don't we? Senator, I want to start with a hard question, and I know senators don't like to rag on their colleagues, but what Senator Tuberville is doing to the uniformed military is disgraceful. Have you spoken with him about it?
I actually have not spoken to him about it. This is two bulls all hitting heads here. Senator Schumer could have brought up these nominees one at a time, and it takes 2 hours of floor time. They keep talking about it takes days and days. It takes 2 hours of floor time to be able to do it. And right now we have literally 7 days between now and the second week of September that we're going to be in session. Schumer is so focused on getting people out all over the country campaigning on his side that we're literally not in session doing our task. And if he wants to move some of these folks, he can move them. Senator Tuberville is not blocking them on the floor. He's just saying you can't do unanimous consent because President Biden has created this new abortion policy out of whole cloth in the military. And so this is a moment where Schumer is just trying to embarrass Senator Tuberville. And Senator Tuberville is strong and passionate about the value of children and sees this as important.
I am as pro-life as anyone, and I have been as pro-life as you are. But it is wrong to inflict this on the uniformed military. The Marine Corps doesn't have a commandant. No one's been promoted from captain to admiral. No one's been promoted from colonel to general. None of the generals have moved up. All the billets are screwed up. It's a fiasco for the military. Does the senator understand that the people paying the price here are military families with children, not the Biden administration?
Well, I don't think he was trying to be able to attack the Biden administration nor these individual families. He was just trying to say to the Biden administration, you created a new abortion policy in the military where literally you can get 5 days off and paid travel to go have an abortion. But if you have a funeral in your family, you can't get that time off and you can't certainly get paid travel. And so Senator Tuberville was trying to say, bring it to Congress. Let's actually have that debate. In the meantime, don't just create something there because you want to promote abortion. But again, Senator Schumer could bring any of these up. The commandant of the Marine Corps could be in place right now, but Senator Schumer is trying to make a point about all this to say, no, if it can't go unanimously, I'm not going to bring it to the floor at all. I won't take 2 hours of time in a day to be able to move nominees. By the way, we have 6 votes on nominees today. None of them are flag officers. Senator Schumer's not bringing any of those up.
Senator, we're going to have to disagree on this. This has never happened before. The unanimous consent is the rule in the Senate. This is a disastrous policy for the Republicans, and it will remain a disastrous policy for the Republicans. Indeed, it will cost us the ability to get back the Senate. And your colleague from Alabama ought to know that. I mean, I'm really over the top about this, and I think I'm not alone. And so take him aside and say, you are screwing up the party. Let's talk about NATO, Senator Lankford, because I know you sent the president a letter before he went off. He went to bed last night rather than attend the summit dinner. What do you think of his ability to lead the NATO alliance?
I think what does everyone in the country think of this at this point? Every time the president travels overseas, everyone takes a deep breath thinking, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? What's this going to look like on the world stage? So I understand everyone gets this. I mean, at this point, President Biden doing something awkward with a foreign official or avoiding schedule or saying something weird is a kind of a dog bites man story that is not a real news story anymore because it just has become so common. The biggest issue that we've got to have is what's going to happen with Ukraine. How is this alliance going to come together to be able to make sure that we're continuing to have stable relationships across the entire region and everyone's pulling their fair share? That was my letter to Biden in advance, is to make sure that he's reinforcing to everyone, okay, learn the lesson of what Russia's doing in aggression. Everyone needs to pony up for this alliance.
I have a new column in the Post this morning on what would happen if Putin won. I mean, what if he actually won? Toppled Zelensky, executed him, took over all of Ukraine to its 4 corners. What do you think would happen to the people of Ukraine if that happened, Senator?
Yeah, they would continue to be able to push back for decades on it. The Ukrainian people fought for their independence in 1991 from Russia. They gained their independence the first time. Now they're trying to push the Russians out again at this point. So I think that'd be an ongoing, long, protracted terrorist activity with the Ukrainians fighting against occupying Russians on it. At the end of the day, it is better for the world if Putin is not sitting inside of Ukraine, that he is isolated as a rogue leader in Russia. And he certainly, as we know from the beginning of the war, Putin wanted to be able to roll in not only to Ukraine, but announced that he wanted to be able to go into Poland as well, announcing that Poland used to be part of Russia as well. before this war even started. So the world needs to see this and to know what Putin's real ambitions are.
Well, I also think that if he were to succeed, he would enslave the Ukrainian people, and I don't rule out Holocaust. I really don't. I think he is angry and bizarrely paranoid about what's going on there. And boy, the Russians are vengeful people when they occupy a country with which they have gone to war, as we learned in the aftermath of World War II. Americans have to put on their foresight cap. It is reasonably foreseeable that he would execute tens of thousands of people. Do you think that's true?
It is very possible. It is not beyond where Putin is at this point. Clearly, human life doesn't matter to him. He's pulling people out of jails and throwing them to the front lines to be able to fight Ukrainians at this point. Human life matters nothing to Putin, and that's very clear. And Russian moms need to continue to be able to make their voices heard in Russia to say our lives of our sons and husbands do matter.
Let me talk to you a little bit about whether or not the appropriation for full funding of Ukraine gets through. There is within our party an isolationist wing. Are they going to hold up funding for Ukraine?
I doubt it because there's such strong support in so many ways to say we don't want to have American soldiers there, but we do want to definitely stand with the Ukrainians as they push back against the Russians. So that involves full funding. Listen, I'm one of those many people that says I don't want to spend money there, but I also don't want Russia to be able to win. And so to be able to block Russia from winning, we've got to be able to step in and do this. Lots of other countries have done this. It is very frustrating to me to hear the number of people in my own party say the Europeans are doing nothing when they're housing millions of Ukrainian refugees right now. They're doing all kinds of support financially. They're stepping up militarily to be able to share military equipment with the Ukrainians as well. The British have been way in on this battle to be able to help the Ukrainians. So there's a lot of nations that are helping Ukraine to be able to protect itself. We need to be in the middle of that as well because it's important that the United States continues to be able to help people stand for freedom. That's who we are. We help other nations stand for freedom. We ignore the Ukrainians as they stand for freedom. Who are we anymore?
Well said, Senator. And I know you got to run. Please take the Senator Tuberville my continued invitation to appear on the show. If he's going to screw up the lives of every uniformed military member out there, he at least ought to come on a show like this and defend a stupid and terrible policy. Senator, thank you. I know you got to run. Thank you very much for joining me this morning.